Good evening, everyone. I'm a Midtown apartment owner, and I support 1-hour parking meters after daytime business hours with increased cost per additional hour and extended monitoring until 1 or 2 a.m. for residential, Midtown, downtown neighborhoods close to restaurant bars. My building is near 26th and K Street, about a block from the very popular cluster of restaurants on J. Every Thursday through Saturday evening, patrons from that cluster take up most of the street parking in the surrounding several block area, making nearby parking for my tenants almost impossible. They often have to park farther away from my building and walk home. And adding to this parking problem are the patrons from one mostly bar in this cluster, which seems to attract a predominantly loud, aggressive, and eventually very drunk evening clientele. By aggressive, I mean inclined to both verbal harassment and physical violence, of which the police are very aware. These loud, drunken patrons stumble to their cars past the front and back of my building on these evenings until 2 or 3 a.m., often yelling and fighting and making sleep next to impossible for my tenants. And the tenants who have parked further from the building and have to trek home, often after dark, have expressed concern about encountering these people. Potential tenants ask about parking availability, and I have to disclose these problems, including these noise and safety issues, which can impact my ability to fill vacancies. And they affect not only my tenants, but other tenants and homeowners in the larger neighborhood where parking and safety is impeded as well. I believe this parking program would dissuade patrons from parking on the street at night and result in significant relief for all of us. I'm told the city, Matt says the city contracts with nearby private parking garages that these patrons could use. If the city continues to allow the unfettered proliferation of bars in our neighborhoods, please then take measures to protect the peace and safety of longtime residents and tenants, because it's no secret that bars bring negative consequences to the areas around them. An even more ideal solution for most of us would be to have spaces near our homes and apartments designated resident parking only after 6 or 7 p.m., along with the above approach for the larger area to keep drunken foot traffic at bay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it.
Good evening. Coming back kind of pursuant to what we talked about last week about the Safeway fueling station issue, this weekend a good thing happened in that Oak Park residents went over and talked to Curtis Park residents, and Curtis Park residents came over and talked to Oak Park residents, because we had to move the media and the politicians and the developers out and just have a good old conversation. Through that process, though, I hear that perhaps you guys have already deliberated about the appeal that's coming next week. The council member was assuring some of the constituents that he had spoke to you all, and I don't know if that was an exaggeration or not, and you all had told him you will vote any way he wants. I think it was maybe bravado more than anything else. However, that's the type of statement that adds to voter apathy. If people think that you're not listening when they come up, and we sit several hours to speak, if they think there are backdoor meetings going on, which is illegal, if they think that there are polling that's going on, which is illegal, then why make the effort? Next week, we're going to bring a lot of information in here about the benefit as it relates to economic impact. And the coalitions and the groups we brought together who normally wouldn't even work together, including the USDA, has now come on board with us for this process. So we want you to take the opportunity and deliberate fairly on this appeal of the Safeway service station and give it a fair hearing. And that'll add to, I think, when people hear their voices, see that their voices are being heard, that's another step towards getting more people out to vote and participate in this process. Thank you.
My name is Kimberly Cargile. I'm the director of a therapeutic alternative. When I graduated from college, I never thought in a million years that I would be a medical marijuana patients' rights advocate. But about 10 years ago, I got to do a documentary here in Sacramento on the need for safe access in Sacramento. I got to interview patients and find out why they were using medical cannabis, if it was really helping them, and why they needed safe access in Sacramento. That night, I woke up in the middle of the night because I had learned the truth that day. I had learned that many patients in Sacramento are using cannabis because they need it and it's helping them. And I knew that safe access was needed in Sacramento, so I started working with the city council and working on the ordinance. I've worked over the last 10 years to help move forward the industry and safe access for California, and most recently worked on these state regulations. With my position at a therapeutic alternative, we are a model dispensary, and we had the Board of Equalization, the Chief Police Association, the League of Cities and Counties, and many legislative offices tour our dispensary so that they could get help in writing these regulations. I'm here today because it's not going to be a problem for us to get a permit. We're already following all the regulations, but it is going to be a problem for us to access products. We need local permits for our laboratory. We need local permits for our manufacturers, for our cultivators, and for our transporters. Or when these regulations go into place, we will have no products for our patients. Another problem we need your help with is the ability to move location. Our landlord is currently on dialysis, and we have high hopes for his health. However, we do need to have a plan B. And finally, I would like to remind you that the city ordinance does not allow us to deliver to our homebound patients. This is something that will be a cost to our patients, and we would only deliver to homebound patients because it's not worth it to spend 2 hours on one patient. It's not a money thing. But this is a thing that's needed for people who are seriously ill and can't leave their homes.
If you could wrap up your comments.
Yeah.
Please.
In the middle of the night last night, I received a text from our patient. I'm going to read that, and then I'll be done. I'm just leaving it up to you. I'm not sure what to do because I'm not allowed to deliver. I'm really sorry for the late night text, but I'm desperate with who to talk to. I'm in insane pain. My surgery the other week didn't go well. There's been tons of complications. I'm really having a hard time just getting through the days and nights managing my pain. 9 out of 10 nights I end up curled up in a ball on the couch crying for hours. Please, if you or anyone you know can help with advice for dealing with all of this sickness and pain physically and emotionally, I could really use it. Not just for me, but for my family. Just let me know if or when you know of anyone who could give help, advice, love, support, anything at all. I'm at the end of my rope. I'm so tired of being in extreme pain. And again, I'm so sorry for this late text. I just don't know where else to turn. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you. You have the last word here.
First of all, Mr. Chenier, I want to thank you. The draconian rules passed on how we address council and these legislative bodies has always been a problem for me. But for your compassion to allow this young lady to continue her passionate appeal past this draconian 2 minutes when we used to have 3, when we could come as groups and combine our presentations and present you with videos and PowerPoint presentations that we're no longer allowed to do. Thank you, Mr. Chenier. I like to think I'm a compassionate guy. I have a nonprofit organization that serves our homeless veterans, our wounded warriors, and military families in crisis. I have mixed feelings about medical marijuana. For those that truly need it, I don't want to see anyone denied their treatment. But I also deal with those folks who abuse it and the games that are played with it. I transport veterans up to a pharmacy on H Street all the time because they're not able to walk. I've taken AIDS patients that live in my building who've died in my building. And if it brings them comfort and it brings them some sense of relief from their ailments, God help anyone who is opposed to that. I have a rule in my building. What happens on the other side of your door is none of my business. But if it comes into the courtyard and affects the little children that live in my building, you're gone. We have tough love in our building. And that's why most of my tenants have lived there for the 20 years that I've managed the building. We need to address the abuses. We need to address the criminality that has been associated with some of these cultivators and growers. But we can't turn our back on the compassionate needs of those who require it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.